If you attach to sensual pleasures, you will be overpowered. You will be tormented. And the external and internal enemies overpower. The individual think that sensual pleasures are supreme good. So they're not interested in the Dharma. They do not develop four foundations of mindfulness. They do not practice meditation. They do not develop right understanding, right thinking, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right mindfulness and right concentration. 8 Meganga, they not practice. And they're not eager and deeply interested in the true teaching. So such individual could not withstand the ups and downs of life because they are very weak, they have no strength, they have no resistance, power of mindfulness, concentration, wisdom, effort and faith. When these sensual pleasures are complete, when they have good business and properties, they are extremely elated. When the sensual pleasures are missing, they are overstricken with sorrow and grief. Since the individuals lack the withstanding power of mindfulness, concentration, etc., the weak mental defilements, though in reality not too strong themselves, could overpower that individual. Thereupon, with no power to hold out, the individuals are tormented by external and internal enemies. If the individuals are still attached to the sensual pleasures, while being tormented from all corners, there ensue intense suffering together with these sensual pleasures. And Buddha gave a simile of a boat with a hole. Tatona dukkha manuiti nawo bena mivodakam. The sufferings in the present as well as in the future closely follow the individuals being tormented and overpowered by mental defilements, in addition to which the internal and external enemies, how suffering follow. It is like a boat with a hole which is continuously being filled with water, Buddha said. You travel in a boat, you clearly understand the problems of the hole in a boat. The boat is already in midstream. the boat hits something and the water is flowing continuously from the hole into the boat. People suffer a lot. If we cannot stop water coming in more if the hole is big, and water coming less if the hole is small. In the same manner, the individual will be overpowered and tormented, more or less, inasmuch as they are attached to the sensual pleasures. People traveling in a boat with a hole have to go through endless trouble to the people who attach to the sensual pleasures encounter sufferings due to the mental defilements and internal and external enemies. How they suffer? People suffer to look for the sensual pleasures, to search for the sensual pleasures, and if they get it, they have to protect and keep them safely, and they have to worry about the loss of these pleasures. They suffer a great deal more when the sensual objects are destroyed by water, by fire, cyclone, thieves, and so on. Due to attachment to these sensual pleasures, the mental defilements, anger, worry, etc. develop and make them suffer more in the future. So Buddha said, a person attached to the sensual pleasures is always followed by suffering, like a boat with a hole through which water flows in. Here similarity is drawn to the continuous water entering the boat with a hole, bringing great anxiety and endless sufferings. Sufferings due to mental defilements, external and internal enemies, always follow and torment the individuals who attach to the sensual pleasures. Therefore, Buddha continued the discourse on how to cut the desire, how to abandon these sensual pleasures, to be free from all the suffering. And Buddha said, Tasma jantu sadasato kamani privijaye te pahaya tari ogam nawon sitawa paragu. Buddha said, sufferings closely follow and torment those clinging on to sensual pleasures. For this reason, yogi wishing to be free from sufferings should avoid and completely cut the desire, completely abandon the sensual pleasures by practicing mindfulness meditation, such as contemplation of body, etc., day and night. As explained before, Weak mental defilements overpower and torment the individuals who are clinging on to and yearning for the sensual pleasures. The external as well as internal enemies, like unwholesome deeds, physical and mental suffering, always follow and torment them continuously. It is also pointed out that desire should be cut off, sensual pleasure should be completely abandoned. If you are wise, you have to reflect the torture from all corners. If you are wise, you have to know the origin of suffering. You need to understand the cause of suffering. It is desire. The yogi have to cut off that desire. And other sutta also mention the bad effects of the sensual pleasures. Ati Tingulupama Kāma Bahu Dukkha Bahu Payasa Adinawa Ita Biyo. The pleasurable sensual pleasures are like a bone with no meat and blood on it. These sensual pleasures cause a great deal of suffering. Thus they are full of faults and they have bad effects. There are two types of view. Ordinary people view that sensual pleasures are enjoyable, they are pleasurable, they are reliable. But for the Buddhas and Arahants, their view is seemingly delightful sensual pleasures are like a bone with no meat on it. These sensual pleasures cause a great deal of suffering. Thus, they are full of faults and have bad effects. It is a view of Buddhas and Arahants. Buddhas and Arahants, they understood, they discover that sensual pleasures are likened to a bone without any meat or blood on it. The bone is far from being delightful. They are far from enjoyable and reliable. Instead, they bring about bad effects. Here simile is a bone. A butcher scrapes all the meat and blood of a bone. A hungry young dog hanging around the place. The dogs watching him, watching a butcher who scraped the bone, and the butcher throw the bone to the hungry dogs. The hungry dogs, very happily run and pounce upon the bone, grab it. Though there is no meat or blood on the bone, the smell makes the dog bite it, chew it, munch it with relish. The hungry dog chew it, munch it with relish. Is the bone delicious? Is the bone tasty? In reality, it is the dog's own saliva, and its wish to eat. Saliva makes it seem tasty and delicious. But it is not worth fighting over with other dogs. Moreover, will the young dog's hunger be satisfied by just chewing this bare bone? No, the bone not nutritious, it is not substantial. It will be tiresome and worthless and bring nothing with the bone but suffering. If the young dog does not search elsewhere for food, but keeps biting and munching the bare bone, which does not satisfy his hunger, it will surely be in a sad and pitiable plight. Just like the tasteless bone, the sensual pleasures seem to be supreme good to the people because they themselves take delight in them. Yet they are like the bare bone, seems delicious to the hungry dog because of its own saliva. In the same manner, the sensual pleasures will not be pleasing and enjoyable if the individual himself does not take delight in them. These pleasures are enjoyable only to those who find them pleasurable. In the case of a sick person, he will not find any pleasures or enjoyment in sense. The sensual pleasures, like the bare bone, it has nothing to be enjoyed and find delight in. They will cause endless sufferings and anxieties in searching for them and hankering after them. Wise men should reflect in this way, and they should cut off the sensual desire. Another example, Buddha said, Mansa Pesupama Kāma Bhudokha Bhupayasa Adinavo Itabhiyo. The sensual pleasures is just like a piece of meat. How is it similar to a piece of meat? When a kite or a vulture carries a piece of meat, he think, I'm lucky, I got a piece of meat, I will enjoy the meat, and it flies off. And other kites and vultures follow it in order to wrest away the piece of meat. It is in its beak, pecking and hurting it so that it would let go the piece of meat. The kite who carries a piece of meat, is he lucky? Is enjoyed the piece of meat? No, other birds follow it, and they pecking and hurting it who carries a piece of meat. And then the bird could not stand the pecking any longer. So finally, it let go that piece of meat. No sooner the second bird had got that piece of meat in its beak, and it has to go through the torture of being picked and pecked by other birds. This goes on with bird after bird which has that piece of meat in its beak. However, the bird which had let go of the piece of meat in its beak is released and relieved of the picking and peckings, and it finds peace at last. The bird which had let go of the piece of meat in its beak is released and relieved, and it finds peace at last. Similarly, if there is a chance, people would torment and loot the individual's sensual objects. It is quite evident, whether it is in business or political or family affairs, the unfortunate individual try to loot, try to get those fortunate ones if there is an opportunity. The actual lootings have occurred. A few weeks ago, family came to pay respect to me. The father, 42 years old, he is a very devoted father in the Dharma, and his wife, the elder son, 7 years old, and a younger sister, 5 years old. They came to pay respect to me, and the father was asking some meditation. We are talking. At the time, the younger sister cried out loudly. What happened? When I look at them, and the brother took some of candy from his sister. So the mother had to solve that problem. So the properties, the candies, is the origin of that conflict. And even in the religious sectors, there are cases where low and mean individuals try to attack and destroy and loot those who were famed and well known. A few years ago, when I stayed in my country, in one temple, the abbot was dying, and he had one assistant teacher and his nephew, staff monk. When the abbot was dying, the two monks, assistant teacher and the staff monk, argued to take over the temple. So it is very clear that if there is a post, you be careful, there is opposition party and other party will criticize you. The origin cause is the sensual objects. So these mental defilements, the sensual pleasures, are compared to a piece of meat which brings about attacks and ill treatment, and they should be left alone and totally abandoned if you are wise. So the sensual pleasures should be abandoned by yogi, reflecting. The sensual pleasures are likened to a piece of meat. They are the causes of lootings and sufferings. So that kinds of reflection, yogis have to reflect. So other example, we will continue tomorrow. We have to stop our discourse for today by practicing Satipatthana Vipassana meditation, by observing every phenomena occurring at the six senses, by practicing sitting, standing, walking, stretching and bending, etc. continuously, meticulously and restlessly. May you all good practitioners realize the real peace in the very near future.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.